Welcome to another video on the Ren Figures channel. In this video, I'll be taking a close look at my Star Wars The Black Series collection. So my collection is kind of split into two separate displays at the moment. This is the main display, with the top shelf being the Trooper shelf. It's kind of in a chronological order to a certain extent. So we'll start with the Phase 1 Clone Troopers. So your standard Phase 1. Behind him, you've got your Clone Phase 1 Sergeant. The paint apps on them two helmets aren't fantastic, but kind of do a job. Behind him, you have the Phase 1 Clone Captain, probably my favourite Phase 1. I do everything for red highlights and on armour and red armour in general. Behind him, you have the Clone Commander, which came in a 4-pack with some other troopers that you'll see later on in this video. Moving on to the Phase 2 troopers, you have the standard Phase 2, which came in the same 4-pack as that Phase 1 Clone Commander. Behind him, you have the 442nd Siege Battalion Clone Trooper. And behind him, you have the Coruscant Guard, also known as the Shock Trooper. Again, one of my favourite clone troopers, being with the red highlights. Behind him on the left, you have the 212 Attack Battalion, or better known as the Utapau Trooper. That went with Obi-Wan Kenobi to fight General Grievous. Next to him, you have probably the most famous and most popular Phase 2 Trooper, the 501st, which obviously helped Anakin kill all the Jedi in the Jedi Temple. Them four figures there came in a 4-pack, which is probably one of the best 4-packs I believe has been released in the Black Series so far. Moving on to the Clone Commanders, we have Commander Wolf with his unique helmet that everyone loves. Behind him we have Clone Commander Gree, or more famous for getting his head cut off by Master Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. Behind him we have Commander Fox, again not the favourite character, but an armour that I love, with it being mainly red in its colour. Behind Commander Fox, you have Commander Cody to the left-hand side. Again, one of the more popular troopers. Hard to find figure nowadays, but rumours of a re-release coming up for him. And then on the right of him, you have Captain Rex, one of the most popular characters through the Clone Wars and obviously the Rebels. So that is the figures for the prequel series. We then move on to the original trilogy. We have the standard Stormtrooper, decent figure, but they've just announced a re-release on a new sculpt for this figure, which I'm looking forward to later this year. Next to him, you have the battle-damaged Stormtrooper, which came in a 4-pack as well. Below them, you have the Crimson Stormtrooper, which is, again, one of my favourite original trilogy troopers on this shelf, just because of the red. You then have the Inferno Squad Leader from Star Wars Battlefront 2. In front of him, you have the AT-AT driver, or the AT-AT, however you want to say it. Next to him, you have the original trilogy Snowtrooper, one of my favourite figures. I love the contrast between the white armour and the dirty Under Armour. Moving down in front of him, you come to my first of two Sandtroopers. This is the Sandtrooper Sergeant from the same 4-pack as the Crimson Trooper. Next to him, you have the Imperial Jump Trooper. This is shown in the Star Wars Rebels series. And next to him, you have the Imperial Patrol Trooper. This is from the Solo movie, I believe. Behind him, I have two TIE Fighter pilots. These have never stood up well for me, hence why they're laid against the back. But one of them is your standard TIE Fighter pilot from the Blue Line release, I believe. And the one next to it is Lieutenant Oxio from the 4-pack with the Sandtrooper and the Crimson Stormtrooper. So that's pretty much it for the prequel and original trilogy troopers. There's a few other ones later on in the video that are not in this section, but we'll get to them. We then move on to a couple of special edition troopers that I have. So I have the San Diego Comic-Con First Order Stormtrooper. Next to him, I have the San Diego Comic-Con again Sith Trooper. I love the packaging this came in, so I've left that one on the packaging. And next to him, I have the first carbonized figure that I have, which is again the Sith Trooper. I love the shiny red on this. And moving away from Black Series for a second, just here I have a Sith Holocron from Etsy. My girlfriend actually bought me this, and it does light up. It has one of them little electric tea lights in the bottom of them, which lights it up. And it does have some extra detail on the red, which you can't see when it's not lit up. To the left and at the front of the shelf, I have two sets of Star Wars playing cards. We have the light side and we have the dark side playing cards as well. These are from Theory 11, if anyone's interested. And as you can see there, I actually have opened the dark side one. But moving along to the sequel trilogy, this is mainly sequel trilogy with a couple of bits and bobs mixed in there as well. So start off with the Amazon exclusive First Order Stormtrooper. I've got him displayed as the heavy gunner. He came with all the different parts, but that's the one we didn't have yet, so that's what I've displayed it as. Then got your standard First Order Stormtrooper at the front, the First Order Stormtrooper officer behind him. This is the right control trooper from the 2-pack with Poe Dameron, but I've actually swapped out the baton and the shield with the baton and the shield from the Amazon one, just to do this with better pieces so it looked better on him. Behind him we've got the Executioner Trooper from The Last Jedi. And then moving down to the front we've got your First Order Snow Trooper. Quite a nice design of a trooper, I think. I've got a few of them in this collection. Behind him I've got the Snow Trooper Officer. And then behind him again I have the same Snow Trooper but from the Rise of Skywalker with the white cloak on him. Quite a nice figure actually, I do like this one. And then behind him we have the Flame Trooper from The Force Awakens. And then moving down to the next section, we have the First Order Jet Trooper from The Rise of Skywalker. And on the right of him we have the Sith Jet Trooper, pretty much the same figure but in red, and we know how I feel about red troopers, I love that one. We then have the AT-ACT pilot behind him and the hover tank pilot next to him. Behind him we have the Range Trooper from the Solo film. And then we have the two Death Troopers behind them. One of my new favourite trooper designs, especially now that it's been shown in The Mandalorian. Got the normal on the left and the specialised on the right. And then we've then got this first release of Captain Phasma. I don't have the special edition one yet with the broken helmet, but I'm looking to get that one soon. We then have the two Praetorian Guards. Again, I don't have the third one as of yet. I'm hoping to get that one to add to the collection at some point. And then we have the rest of the 4-pack that came with one of them Praetorian Guards. We have your normal Royal Guard, we have your Senate Guard next to him, and right at the front we have the Shadow Guard, I think that's called. I think that's from the Force Unleashed. I haven't played the game in a while, so I can't remember what it's called. And then we have one of the first figures that I managed to pick up. That's a Scout Trooper with a speeder bike. I love this thing. It's probably my favourite trooper that I have in the collection. Moving down to the next shelf. So we start off with Rey on her speeder bike from The Force Awakens. Quite a nice figure. I do like this one. It was relatively expensive when it first came out, but it's quite cheap to get now. We then have Luke on his land speeder. I've tried to recreate a New Hope a little bit. So I've got C-3PO, New Hope in the back, Old Ben Kenobi at the front, and R2-D2 laid on the back. This R2-D2 is actually the new 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back version. So this will be moving to join the Luke and Yoda on Dagobah set, which I have pre-ordered. So I will have to pick up the original R2-D2 to go on the back of this display. But next to that we have the Skywalker Strikes Luke Skywalker from the comic. I love the box, it's the same as the comic art. I love the accessories that this one came with. Moving across we have the Kylo Ren and Rey on Starkiller Base. The Kylo Ren Starkiller Base was actually the first figure that I picked up in this collection. It's probably still one of my favourites, hence why it's front and centre of the collection. Behind them we have the San Diego Comic-Con Grand Admiral Thrawn. A lovely piece. It's a nice figure on its own, but all the accessories and the box itself really make this figure. We've got the Grease helmet there. We also have the Jedi Temple Guard helmet, and the lizards I believe called Salamiri. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that's what they're called. We then have the Old Man Luke on the Act 2 base with the Island Journey Rey next to her. I really like the face tech that was used on the Island Journey Rey. I'm considering picking up a second one to switch the heads out with this Rey, because the head is so much better on the Island Journey one. We then have the Kylo Ren throne room with the Last Jedi Rey. I haven't picked up the Snoke throne room yet, but I'm looking to get that soon to finish this off. We then have the 40th anniversary probe droid, the new figure. I love this thing. It's much bigger than I expected it to be, but it's really detailed. It's a great figure. I would get it if you haven't got it already. And then next to that we have the Sand Trooper, the second Sand Trooper in my collection, which I mentioned earlier. This is the Sand Trooper on the Dewback. This is actually an early birthday present from my girlfriend. It was my birthday's next month, but she got it delivered early, so she thought she would give it to me. Underneath here we have the 20th anniversary Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. The boxes these came in are fantastic. I have the current Darth Maul on the other side of my collection. I don't have the other Padawan Obi-Wan, but I'm looking to get that. We then have the Force Effects Elite Kylo Ren saber. This is just a lovely piece in general, much better than the original from 2015, and I'm looking to get a few more lightsabers to add to my collection. And now we'll move on to the other side of the room. So this side of the collection is very work in progress, especially compared to the other side of the room. The other side is pretty much finished other than new figures to add to it. This side is on quite a rickety old bookshelf. I have ordered some glass display cases to replace this, but that's not coming until next month, so I'll probably do an update video once they're installed. But we'll start from at the top. We have the San Diego Comic-Con old Ben Kenobi. This is the one that comes with the hologram layer, as you can see there. It has two functions. It either says that her classic line, or it can say that full script that's on the left hand side of that box. We then have the San Diego Comic-Con Unmasked Kylo Ren with the melted Vader helmet. We have some other amiibos and stuff up here, but they're not important for this video. We then have the deluxe General Grievous, and a lot of people have issues standing this up, hence why it's laid against the bookshelf at the back. We then have Commander Obi-Wan Kenobi. The head sculpt on this is amazing. It just looks just like Ewan McGregor, which had this head sculpt on the Revenge of the Sith version. We then have the second sister Inquisitor and Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order video game, and BD-1 on his shoulder, of course. Brilliant game. If you haven't played it, I would recommend it. We then have the 40th Empire Strikes Back Yoda. I don't have the original, so I've just picked this one up recently. We have the archive release of Anakin. I didn't manage to pick him up the first time round. And then we have the, I believe that's the Blue Line edition Obi-Wan Kenobi. Again, talks of a re-release of that one, so hopefully with a new head sculpt. We then have the one of two Rebels figures that I have. I only have two so far, but they're talking about re-releases as well of them. We have Kanan Jarrus. Next to him, we have the original Darth Vader. Again, I think this is the Blue Line release. I'm looking forward to pick up the new version that's coming out later on this year. Then we do have the new Return of the Jedi Luke. I didn't manage to pick up the old one back in the day, but this one's much better anyway. And this is the 40th anniversary Bespin Luke. Again, I'm looking to pick up the new Vader to go alongside this Bespin Luke. We then have Qui-Gon and Darth Maul at the back. This is the original release of both of them. It's not the Archive Collection Darth Maul, it is the original Darth Maul. I still need the normal Padawan Obi-Wan to go alongside these two figures. We then have the Jaina Solo next to them. This one, the fan vote a few years ago. Again, a lovely figure. These two little R2-D2s are actually tins that some mints came in. But I'm actually using them currently just to store all the extra blasters and things and accessories that come with the figures that I'm not using at the time. Good little things and tie into the whole section. We then have the Rise of Skywalker Rey and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Two really good figures. I love Kylo's new helmet with the red lines, and it's probably the best Rey figure we have to date. Moving out to the next shelf, we have the Rogue One section. We have Jyn Erso on the left. The original, that actually came in the 3-pack with the Death Troop, I believe. Baze Malbus at the front. The two Cassian Andors behind her, and I believe one of them came in the 3-pack as well. We then have the Jyn Erso with the base, Chirrut Imwe next to him, and Director Krennic next to him as well. We then have the new Snowspeeder Luke from the 40th anniversary. I have pre-ordered the Snowspeeder itself, so this will be going inside that once that comes. And then we have the two Hoth Rebel soldiers. I've got two, because if you don't know already, it comes with two different face sculpts, different face hidden in the backpack, so I thought I'd get two. We then have the 40th anniversary Hoth Leia, the second release Princess Leia with the better face, and the 40th anniversary Han Solo Bespin as well. That's the original Lando behind, not the new 40th anniversary. And then that is the Force Awakens Chewbacca, I believe. We then have a Grand Moff Tarkin. That one was another present from a girlfriend. and then General Veers next to him. I much prefer displaying him with the armour on rather than the normal hat. We then have a standard Jawa. I don't have the other Jawa that's been released as of yet, but I'm looking to pick that one up. And then we have some droids. We have the second Rebels figure that I have is Chopper. We then have the Force Awakens C-3PO. The K2SO from Rogue One, which is a lovely figure. The Torture Droid that comes with Grand Moff Tarkin. We then have the BB-8. That's the second release, the dirty one that comes with the original Rey. And then we have Dio, comes with the Rise of Skywalker Rey. Where we have R2-D5 that comes in the 4-pack with the Sergeant Sandtrooper and the Crimson Stormtrooper. We then have the 2 battle droids, the normal battle droid and the heavy battle droid from the Gaming Greats line. I've also pre-ordered the Geonosian battle droid. We then have the Tusken Raider. And then moving down to the next shelf, we have the prototype Boba Fett and the normal Boba Fett next to him. That's from the archive line, not the original release. We then have the Jango Fett behind him, and I believe he's just been put on the fan vote to see who's going to come in the archive release next. We then have the Attack of the Clones Padme Amidala, the Han Solo Kira behind her. Just in front we have the Donald Glover Lando Calrissian, and the young Han Solo just next to him. On the left of him we have the infamous Constable Zuvio, who we never got to see anything of, and then DJ from The Last Jedi. We then have the Guavian Enforcer from The Force Awakens, and Rose from The Last Jedi hitting just behind him. Last Jedi Finn in his disguise with the right button. General Hux from The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi unmasked Kylo Ren just behind him. Old Man Han Solo from Force Awakens. We then have the Force Awakens Rey. The Poe Dameron from the 2-pack with the right control Stormtrooper. And then we have the standard Finn, that was the second release of the better head. And then we have the Stormtrooper Finn with the blood on the mask. General Leia just in front of him. Masquerade just to the left of her with her little chest with the lightsaber. And the Last Jedi Poe Dameron. Last but not least, we have the First Order TIE Fighter. This comes with the TIE Fighter pilot that comes with the fighter inside of it, and the single card release TIE Fighter pilot as well. Both of them are inside of there. I'm going to have to find somewhere to put this once I get the glass display shelf set up, and especially once I get the Snow Speeder delivered. They're obviously 2 quite big pieces. Going to have to find somewhere to put that. But that's pretty much it for the Black Series collection. I do have a couple other Star Wars things in my collection, as I'll quickly show you now. So I have the new Skywalker Saga 4K Blu-ray collection. Quite a nice piece with all the concept art and stuff inside of it. And then I also have the Art of Star Wars books as well. All quite nice pieces in general. And that pretty much does it for my Star Wars collection for now. I do have quite a lot of other figures on pre-order, especially going into the back end of this year. So I'll probably be doing some more videos, updating the collection in the future, and probably some unboxing and reviews as well. So please stay tuned for that, like and subscribe, and leave a comment on the video.